Hey, welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small,
Why, hello there, and welcome to episode 31 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, do I have an epic episode for you this week. I have a guest. Her name is Christie, and her business is called Time Stylers, and she is here to chat with us about finding 30 extra hours in our week. Yep, I'm not kidding. But of course, to find your extra 30 hours, you'll have to give me about 30 or 40 minutes of your time to listen to this podcast. But before I get in to introduce Kate and let you hear all the absolute gold Kate has for us today on the podcast, let's do our discovery of the week. Because I have an epic guest, I thought I really should have an epic discovery, and I'm absolutely not about to let you down there. We all know how important video is in our marketing, in our social media, in our emails, on our website, and just about everywhere else these days. So today I've got a video tool that will simply blow your mind. It's called Shaker, and it's on a website of www.shaker.com, and Shaker is spelled S-H-A-K-R, so no E, S-H-A-K-R, and is an online video maker and video ad creator tool. If you want to win with video on social media and get more return for your investment for your spend and take your videos to the absolute next level, then look up Shaker. It literally has thousands of personalized videos at a click of a single button. It's not free though, guys. In fact, it is a subscription model, but they do have a free trial, and you can certainly have a really great play before you actually sign up. I cannot tell you just how easy and simple this website, or how easy and simple Shaker makes it for making amazing videos on your platforms. It is just super, super impressive. Again, maybe sometimes you need to make an investment, but of course, if video truly is king and you're finding it hard to do more video yourself, then this just could be the tool for you. I suggest that you check it out. As always, just a little disclaimer, my discoveries are just that. I am in no way affiliated with them, and I promise to tell you if I ever am. I just love them. In the case of Shaker, I am just in video making heaven, and I wanted to share this little discovery with you. And if you have a little discovery that you would like to share with me, I would love to hear from you. You can send me an email, jen@jendonovan.com.au, or of course you can tag me on Instagram at Small Business Made Simple. I'd really love to know what tools you're using in your business and in your life to make it simpler. All right, so let's get into time management with Christie. So before I get into the interview, let me tell you a little bit about this very impressive lady. Christie is the founder and CEO of Time Stylers, and is a time investment expert, an international speaker, and a best-selling author. Kate consults to big and small businesses, to government departments and C-suite executives on maximising individual time spent and managing organisation drag through the smart time investment strategies. And she does go through her smart time investment strategies with us today. She's appeared on TV, on radio, in print, all as a leading commentator on time management and maximising work-life integration to ensure your success across your work, your family, your community, and of course your life. With a reputation for helping her clients find 30 hours of lost time a month, Kate's focus is to ensure you are left educated, entertained, and with a lasting impact on the ways you choose to live, work, and play. And she 100% does that with us here today, guys. One of my clients reached out to me and said, you need to have Kate on your podcast. So after some stalking Jen style, I asked her to come on the podcast for you, my gorgeous listeners, to help with time management. So let's get into it. Let's welcome Kate to the podcast. Thank you so much, Kate, for joining us here on the podcast this afternoon. I'm really appreciative of you taking time out of your very busy schedule with Time Stylers and having a bit of a chat to us today on how we can actually save some time as small business owners.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's lovely to join you today.
Thank you. Kate, I guess one of the things that, as we were discussing off air just a few moments ago, we have a mutual friend and that's how we've come across each other. But I must admit, when I looked at your website, one of the things that really stuck out to me was this claim that we could find and harness 30 hours of lost time a month. And that was, as soon as I read that, I was like, all right, I need to get this lady on my podcast to find out where I can find 30 hours and where my beautiful audience members can find 30 hours as well.
Yeah, look, it's I must admit that once you can take control of your time and you learn how to invest it properly and where to invest it, you do get a substantial number of hours back. And I've never not found any of my clients 30 hours as a minimum.
Wow. That is really quite amazing. You know, I'm sure my audience is on the edge of their seats now wondering not only where they can find 30, I'm sure most of them would like 5 back, 5 extra hours back.
So well, look, it's just about being, well, it's an awareness issue. And I think that once you sort of get on this juggernaut, you know, once you start looking for your lost time and start investing it differently, it really does become addictive, I must admit.
Yeah. Like most things that, I could see how it could definitely become addictive. If anything like me, I'd start writing a list of the different hours and I'd want to keep beating it. So,
Absolutely.
So I guess on that, how and where should we be looking at where we should be investing our time? So what's the biggest, what do you see in small business owners as to where they lose their most time?
Well, look, I guess in terms of, you know, how do you find your time? There's no silver bullet with this. You have to actually invest time to find your lost time. Mm-hmm. You have to, there's a process, there's a framework that I've developed a number of years ago that is the framework I use with my clients to help them find their time. But as you're going through the framework, it also teaches you a number of different strategies on how to be a lot more conscious about where you're spending your time in the first place. So the framework is called SMART and it's 5 steps. And the first step is to be self-aware, and there's a process that we go through to find out exactly what your pain points are, your time pain points. The second step is called MAP, and that is where you actually map a couple of days in absolute detail, because you can't know what changes you can make to your day until you know exactly where you're spending your time. Then step 3 is A for analyze, and that's where we segment your time into different categories. So your musts, your wants, so the things you must do that only you can do. The wants are the lovely, awesome things that you're not doing enough of at the moment because you're too busy taken up with musts. And then your delegates and your rejects, and that's where you're going to find all of your lost time. And there's also a sort of a costing exercise that we do there to actually work out what cost lens impacts you most. And for some people, for small business owners, it's often a financial cost or an opportunity cost. And then step 4 is reframe, where you make the decisions as to what exactly you're going to stop doing or do differently. And then step 5 is T for take control. And that's really where the rubber hits the road. That's the implementation step where it starts getting really exciting. The good news, though, about following a framework like this is that you don't have to wait to the end of the road to start getting time back. You actually start getting time back immediately, because your awareness and your consciousness is drawn to the fact that you're looking at your time differently. So there's, strategies that you can start to implement for immediate time gains.
Okay. So I guess, looking through, just hearing you roll off that smart and just that last comment that you made, heading back a step or two, our connection that we had was the gorgeous Annette, and her and I correspond by email, and an email came back to me one day a couple of months ago, and basically it read, after I'd sent her one, it read, I only check my emails a couple of times a day. She actually had time allocated on the email, so I knew that she wouldn't get to her email till 10 o'clock that morning or something like that. And it was an autoresponder. So, of course, my response to that was to write back, which probably wasn't the right thing to do, knowing she wasn't reading her emails. But I responded back, and it was kind of like, I love that. I know there's, a few clients out there that I've had in the past that have had get so distracted with their emails, and they make their emails dictate their day. So they get to work in the morning, they
Absolutely.
emails, that then starts their day, and before they know it, it's almost lunchtime, and they haven't actually even started what they wanted to do that day that was actually crucial for that day, because they've spent the morning replying to emails and fixing things that needed to be fixed. So I just thought that was an amazing tip to give a small business owner.
It's actually, it's the worst use of your time as a business owner to be spending those really crucial, high intensity, active, enthusiastic, creative hours in the morning, when, regardless of whether you're a morning person or not, is your kind of best, most productive time, generally speaking. And yet you spend them on email. It's counterintuitive. It's the worst spend of your time. Your emails are a list of, that's someone else's to-do list. Your emails is someone else's to-do list. It's not what you're supposed to be doing.
I haven't heard that sort of brought like that. Yeah, no, that's really good. I like that. Yep.
Yep. So prioritizing your emails first thing in the morning means you're lost control of the agenda. You're prioritizing someone else's work. Research shows us that we're spending 2 full days a week in, week out, just reading and responding to emails. Wow. That's 16 hours of your life a week, just reading and responding to emails. It's not productive work. It's not impacting the bottom line, unless it's an email where you're going out and actively, engaging for sales, or, doing high, task work that sort of has high impact for your business. Most of the emails you send are, a low impact emails, and you're not adding to the bottom line of the business.
Yeah. I guess that's so true, especially, and I love the way you said it's somebody else's to-do list, because I think of the way that I write emails and the emails that I send, and yes, they tend to be question and information based. So I'm either asking for information back or I'm giving information out. So yeah. So I guess the process behind what Annette was doing, that you had obviously taught her to do, was letting people know that they wouldn't get an answer straight away, which I guess is really important for the person who sent it to you, but also structuring the day. So I guess, what other sort of ways, if we're spending 2 days answering our emails, which is just mind-blowing, a week, and I'm so guilty of exactly what we're talking about here. But what other sort of real traps do you see small business owners falling into that are similar to the email trap?
Well, I like to talk about it in terms of symptoms and then the diagnosis. So, symptoms will include things like emails rule my life, or I'm in meetings all of the time, or I'm constantly interrupted, or my day is a constant juggle where I'm rushing from one thing to the next and I'm never doing anything particularly well, or the phone always goes, or everyone wants a piece of me, or I'm wearing every hat. Now, you've probably got listeners who are nodding to every single one of those. Now, the good news is that they're your symptoms. So if you go to the doctor and you say, well, I've got a headache and my joints are aching and my muscles are sore and I'm sneezing and I can't get out of bed and I feel terrible, they're your symptoms. And the doctor's going to say, well, you've got the flu. So the flu's the diagnosis. So once you understand what the diagnosis is and you treat for the diagnosis, then most of those symptoms are going to go away. So it's not about treating every single one of those symptoms. It's actually about saying, well, what is my real problem here? And if I can fix that, then all of those little symptoms are going to go away. And in the work that I've done with, thousands of professionals and educators and business owners and entrepreneurs and C-suite executives and whomever, it basically, in my experience, boils down to 3 parts to the diagnosis. The first part is you're not planning to succeed. So you're not actually planning your life. You don't have a daily plan, a monthly plan, a weekly plan, monthly plan, annual plan, 5-year plan. So the first part is that if you want to be able to succeed with your time, you need to plan. The second part of the diagnosis is that you're not controlling the agenda. So that's where you're basically letting life happen to you. You're letting someone else's to-do list take over. You're getting up in the morning and looking at your phone within 10 minutes of getting up, and you've then completely lost control of the agenda. So the second part of the diagnosis is not controlling the agenda. And regardless of what your business is or where you are in the business or what stage of your life you're at, every single one of us has a degree of control over our time. And it's about identifying what you can control and seizing absolute control of that. And then the third part of the diagnosis is that you're not focusing on the right tasks at the right time. So you're sort of giving equal weight or treating all tasks equally. And you can't afford to do that as a business owner. You have to focus on the high impact, revenue generating, hard strategic based tasks when you are at your best. And then the process driven, mundane, less important, email administrative type tasks, which are not revenue generating, they have to be batched or put into your calendar at a time when you're not at your best. You don't want to be using your best brain for anything less than your best work. So if you can solve and seize control and solve for those 3 parts of the diagnosis, that's when you're actually going to start investing your time well.
So for someone who doesn't plan their day at all, so they just turn up and they let other people plan their day, whether that be through email or, like I said, just before we started, I do have a lot of retailers who listen to the podcast. So some of their day is obviously controlled by the customers that walk through the door. But for people who don't plan at all, where should they start? Is there a diagnosis they should go through as to where they should be spending their time? Or, do they grade their to-do list, so that the number one thing is always done first? Or where do they start with planning?
So where you start is you start with the framework. So you've got to go through that process of being self-aware about what the issues are, mapping your time, et cetera, et cetera. Once you actually have that baseline work done, and a lot of that is data collection in terms of understanding your habits, understanding what's impacting on your time, understanding how others are impacting on your time. Once you've got that baseline of work done, then there's a whole heap of strategies that you can implement. You're not going to get as great a bang for your buck if you just jump straight into the strategies. You really need to follow a framework, follow a process, because you're going to get better results. But in terms of, some simple strategies around planning, for example, you need to have a really awesome to-do list, and you need to partner that with a really great calendar. So your to-do list coupled with a calendar is like your power tool duo of planning. And a great to-do list is to have a master to-do list, which you do on a Friday night or a Sunday night. Don't do it on a Monday morning, because you're eating into some of your most productive time of the week. So you want to, you don't want to be using your best time to write a list. You want to be pre-prepared. So you have your to-do list. Then what I would encourage you to do is identify the 2 most important tasks that you need to do on Monday morning. And then you lock them into your calendar You batch them for sort of 45 minutes each, have a 15-minute break between the tasks, and at the end of the day, if nothing else has been done in terms of your to-do list and you've lost control or people have taken over or life just is happening to you, as a minimum, you're going to get to the end of the week and you've got to have completed your 10 most important tasks for the week. Now, those prioritized tasks, I would always urge you that they be, as a small business owner, they should be revenue generating tasks.
Yeah. I know we often talk about, know your 3 money-making activities. So, and I guess we go through a bit of an exercise on how, know your 3 money-making activities, and then think about how much time you actually allocate to those money-making activities as, a percentage of your day or your week or however it is that you work and chunk your time. And it is very obvious that unfortunately our 3 biggest money-making activities sometimes get the least amount of time allocated to them, even though we know they are the activities that will be generating the money to keep our business going.
And so it's, it's counterintuitive. If we know this and we know that they're the most important tasks, we need to lock them into our calendar. The reason why we then take them from the to-do list and lock them into the calendar is because our brain loves deadlines. There's a theory called Parkinson's law. It's an economic theory, which basically says that a task will expand to meet the time made available for it. So if you give yourself a month to win a new client, it's going to take you a month to win the client. But if you give yourself 2 days to win a new client, then you're working to 2 days. If you give yourself no time to win a client, then you haven't set a deadline, and so the task just expands to fill the time made available for it. So you have to lock those sort of deadlines into your calendar, and they've got to be in the morning, and they have to take absolute priority over everything else.
I'm sure that every one of my listeners has absolutely heard that loud and clear, because I am certainly, terrible sometimes at extending my own deadlines and knowing that it's still not going to get done until the last 48 hours or something like that. So I guess, why have we become so bad with our time management? Every time I run different courses and I have a few different groups, and when I ask them, what would you like to know more about, so often time management comes up. So why are we so bad at time management?
Look, I think it's because, well, firstly, I think some people are good at it, and it's definitely a mindset thing. As small business owners, we're so, in inverted commas, busy, and we're juggling so many different competing priorities and tasks, and we're sort of too caught up in it to really sit back and analyze and reframe this stuff for ourselves, because we're just kind of busy doing stuff. And I think that the worst habit we've got into, or the worst thing we can do, is think about our time as something that needs to be managed. So when people are saying, oh, I'm so bad at time management, I'd love to be better at time management, the first thing you need to do is change your mindset. It's not time management. You're thinking about it in such a negative way, you're never going to do it. Flip it around and think about it as time investment. It's smart time investment. I need to learn how to invest my time differently, not how to manage my time. So think about your time the way you think about your money, as a precious resource that you have a very limited amount of, that you need to invest for the greatest possible return. So the first thing I'd say is change your mindset. You're not managing your time, you're investing your time.
That's it. That is gold for any podcast. Anyone listening to the podcast, that is just pure gold. I wrote that down, smart time investment, and I will certainly be sharing that. And I remember sharing with my audience not so long ago on this podcast, as well as some other events, about they get very distracted by their phones and social media and things like that. And I remember talking to some clients about it, saying, we do need to change our habits, but we also need to give ourselves a bit of credit. These people have, whether it's Apple or Samsung or whoever it is, they have spent millions of dollars invested on trying to work out how to get us addicted to these things. It's not all our fault that we have become addicted to devices. There has been a lot of marketing and a lot of money spent on, social media platforms trying to make it more attractive so that we want to look at it.
Well, they've succeeded. They've succeeded, yeah. Look, our devices, technology is an incredible enabler in small business as in any other industry. Our phones and our devices have been brilliant for business, but at the same time, we have to build some barriers and some boundaries around how we are investing our time on this stuff. The average smartphone user checks their phone 85 times a day. So that's an addiction, and that is means you're bleeding time. And it's when you start thinking about your time as something you're going to invest as opposed to manage, and you think about your time as money and you allocate a dollar figure to everything that you're doing, it does shift your mindset. If you're and you should give yourself an hourly rate, and if you have a business where you charge your clients by the hour, then that's the hourly rate you should allocate to yourself. If you don't have that type of business, then take your gross business income divided by the number of hours you work a year, and that will give you a reasonable approximation. But just say, for example, if your hourly rate was $50 an hour, and I'm sure most of your listeners will be on more than that, but if your hourly rate's $50 an hour and you're spending just 1 hour a day flicking around on social media, that's $18,250 of your time a year. Is this the best use of your time? So you've got to be just highly aware and conscious of where you're investing your time.
Yeah. And I love the idea of putting a dollar figure on, their time. And I really do think it's something that a lot of small business owners, and when we talk about it in the way of social media, why are you on social media? Oh, it's free marketing. And, we talk about the fact that it's not actually free because your time is worth money as well. So this is just another alliteration of that, looking at it from a time spent point of view and a money point as well. So I think that works in very succinctly, and a really great example. Thank you, Kate. And I'm sure that my poor listeners are spinning at the moment, thinking about all of these things.
It's all okay. It's okay. Look, there's plenty of ways that they can get their time under control, and you don't have to implement 400 different strategies. When I'm working with my clients, I do a lot of speaking engagements, and my clear message is that leave the room with 2 things you're going to do differently. Don't sit there and write down 400 new strategies. Just go after 2. Just chase after the 2 low-hanging fruit where you think, oh God, I can do that. That's a simple one, because you will immediately get time back, and it's about generating that momentum.
Yeah, exactly. And often, we will talk about that in a marketing and social media sense as well. There's so much to learn and so much to do, but we'll never implement everything we learn at a workshop. So just pick 1 or 2 things and go home and implement those first. So we sort of gave...
That's right. It's about being realistic.
Yes, that's right. Otherwise, if there's too many things, it just nothing gets done. It becomes too overwhelming, and simply nothing will get done.
Well, that's right. It'll just join the list of 800 other things you're never going to do.
Yeah, or just
pick 2.
Yeah. You'll take all the notes and you'll put that workbook that you filled in the bookshelf with the other workbooks from the other workshops that you've attended, and never look at them again.
Exactly.
Kate, we sort of talked earlier about, and shout out to the gorgeous Annette, Awards Australia, but we talked a little bit about her email system that she had obviously put in place, because emails must have been a bit of a challenge for her. Do you have any other little simple tips like that people could implement maybe today into their business that might be able to help them save some time?
Oh, look, I've got hundreds.
I don't really have time
One
for
I would
hundreds, but a couple
I
would
know,
be nice.
I know. Well, look, my latest book is out, and it's actually targeted at small businesses, and it's called Smart Time Investment for Business. 128 ways the best in business use their time. So there's 128 little strategies in there. One that I would talk about, in which I think, and it would be doing with that emails, is that it's all about batching your time. So you batch or group your time into like tasks that you complete at the same time. So when I talk about having that to-do list and putting your two most important things into your calendar for the following morning, you want to batch those. So a batch would be sort of a 45-minute batch working on your most important task, then batching a 10-minute break, then batching, say, 30 minutes on your emails, and then batching a 10-minute break, then batching your second most important task, and then batching a break. And so you're batching like tasks together. And then between each batch, you turn your emails off, or you turn your alerts off, and then you get on and do some work. So the concept of batching is a really great one, where, you know, if you're in retail, you may batch an hour to send out the invoices for the week. You may, you know, batch an hour for client calls. You may batch, you know, 45 minutes to catch up on your emails or to do some new product design. So pretty much everything you do in your business can be batched and then popped into your calendar, so that you're working for a dedicated period of time on just one task at a time.
So just talking about calendars and things like that, I know there's a lot of apps and a lot of calendars out there that can really help people batch. Is there any programs or any apps or anything you recommend above anything else, or do you recommend pen, paper, and just a paper diary?
No, look, my calendar's in the cloud. I think it's helpful to. I just use Google Calendar because it means I can access it on all of my devices from wherever I am. In terms of, you know, note taking and recording information, I'm a pen and paper girl. When it comes to apps, what I would say is ask around, find out what other people are using, find and talk to them about what seems best, and then choose one thing. Get that person who's really good at it to teach you how to use it,
Mm-hmm.
and show you and walk you through how to use it. It's going to save you a lot of time, and then stick with it. You know, don't just go hunting for the next, you know, great, wonderful, amazing thing. It's, you know, it's like people who just continually go to workshops. When you were talking before, you know, it's almost like we're searching for someone to give us all the answers. More often than not, we know the answers ourselves. It's about being disciplined. It's about implementing. It's about having the mindset. It's about getting shit done. Not, you know, constantly searching around for that next silver bullet, because there's no silver bullet. You know, go and do the work and be, you know, disciplined about it. It's just about hard work.
Yeah. You're singing my song now, Kate. You're singing my song. Definitely no silver bullets, unfortunately. And look, you know, I'd say nearly all the small business owners that I work with and I know when I meet, they're realists. They know there's no silver bullet out there. They know that it just takes hard work, and they're out there doing the hard work. So I guess it's, you know, having people like yourself in the world that can help them, even though it is just hard work for them. You know, how can they make life a little bit simpler, which I guess is the premise of the whole podcast, is all about, you know, making work and life a little bit simpler.
Yeah, and one of those things about making it simpler is just asking people who know. You know, don't go trying to solve everything for yourself. You know, if someone has ask around who's using a good app, how does it work? You know, ask around who has ideas for how I can invest my time differently. And, you know, you can't know everything, and you also can't do everything. You know, so one of the things as a small business owner is you really need to be identifying those high value revenue generating tasks that you need to focus on, but at the same time then identify all of the other things that you're currently doing that someone else an expert could do faster, better, and cheaper than you, and then look to outsource that, because that's going to then free up your time to do the high impact revenue generating tasks.
Yeah. Certainly, outsourcing and I guess getting other people to do things that they're an expert at and you're not comes a little bit back to, when I talk to small business owners, putting a price on their time. Sometimes they think, but I can do it cheaper. I can do it for free. But if they're putting that $50 or that $80 or that $25 an hour on their time, they probably will realize then that someone that can actually do it much quicker and cheaper.
Yeah, and nothing's, it's not free. It's your time. Your time is not free. So that hour that you just spent doing something that someone else could do faster than you or better than you is an hour you've lost, because it's an hour you could have been spending on doing, the revenue generating tasks. So, if your listeners walk away with nothing else, I would say to them, your time is not free. You have to value your time. Your time is money. So every task that you're currently performing for the business that's not revenue generating, I would be looking at that to say, is there someone else who can do this faster, better, and cheaper than me, so that I can actually free up my time to win business and earn money for the business?
Yeah, that's so great. That's such great advice. Thank you so much, Kate. Kate, so if you've said something on this podcast this afternoon that's really resonated with my audience, which I'm sure there's probably 30 things that you've said on this podcast that's resonated with my audience out there, but how can they get in contact with you? And I know you mentioned earlier your book. Where can they pick up that book if they want 128 strategies?
Yes.
If they would like to know what those 228 are, where could they pick that book up?
So on my website's called Time Stylers. So www.timestylers.com, or just search under my name, Kate Christie, and they will be able to find me.
Beautiful.
And the book's on the website, or, Amazon and all the, the book places
where you normally find a good book. Perfect.
Yeah.
Of course, I'll have all those links in the show notes as well. So if you missed that, my gorgeous audience, don't fret. Just head to the show notes and find that there. Anyway, Kate, I'm so thankful for you giving up your time this afternoon to come and have a bit of a chat to us. Is there any last parting words, any other things that you would like my audience to know before they go and start looking at their time?
Yeah, look, I just think, we all want to live sort of our greatest life. We all want to have success across all elements of our life. So one thing I would sort of leave you with is that, this isn't all about being so productive that you don't enjoy what you're doing. So love what you're doing. Try and be as productive as possible. Take those sort of time investment hints into the whole of your life. It's not just about work. It's about making time and freeing up time to do all of the really awesome stuff that you want to do, and investing your time for the greatest return across all of your life.
Yes. Scheduling in some fun and some vacations and some holidays and some rest times.
That's it. A me time.
Bit of me time.
Never hurt anyone.
No, I'm sure it didn't. Perfect. Thank you so much again, Kate, for giving us your time today. I have learned so much. I'm sure that everybody else has learned so much. And hopefully we can get you on the podcast another time.
Thanks very much for having me, Jen.
No worries. Thanks, Kate. Catch you soon. Bye. So that was quite the episode, guys, wasn't it? I hope you got some absolute gold from it. Wasn't she amazing? I would really love to know what part of the podcast interview really resonated with you the most during the interview. So maybe let's skip over to the Facebook group, Like-Minded Business Owners. If you haven't joined up yet, just click, the join now button, and let's have a conversation about some of the amazing tips and tricks that Kate gave us on that little interview. Of course, I will be back next Thursday with some more marketing know-how and another great discovery. If you're enjoying the podcast, please don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps you could even share this with a friend. And if you get an extra 2 minutes that you've found because you've done a great tip or trick that Kate has told you about, and you've got 2 extra minutes, I would really love you to leave a rating and a review. Those things are like gold for podcasters like me. And of course, if you've already left one, you can always leave a second. Just saying. But that is it for episode 31. Thanks so much for lending me your ears. I know you have loads of options, so I thank you for making me one of them. I'd love to connect with you all on social, so let's get social on social. And remember, my small business peeps, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
If you feel lonely, say it loud. There's no time like the present. Tell it like you feel it, say it proud. Be true and let us see you for the star that you are. No point in dreaming small.